Hi, so this is another session of math and science lessons with Olalekan Badmos. So we continue from where we left it in the last class on the structure of an atom. Alright, just to quickly recap on what we learned in the previous class. I taught how that every living and non-living thing is made up of atoms. We saw that in the previous class, and we also saw different examples of living and non-living things. All right, and we saw how that all these living and non-living things are made up of atoms. We also saw what matter is. The matter is anything that has mass and can take up space. Mass is simply how heavy or light an object is. And we've been able to establish that everything on Earth, right, has mass and can occupy space. So we discussed that in the previous class. Then we also looked at an element. Element is made up of atoms, and every element has its own unique atoms that make it different from other elements in living and non-living things. So we continued. We saw gold and silver, how that they are elements. Gold is an element that contains gold atoms. Silver also is an element that contains silver atoms, and both of them are found within the earth crust. We also saw how that humans also possess elements within them. Humans are also composed, right, of elements, each with its unique atom. So we saw all of these. We learned all of these last week, and so we stopped here where we wanted to describe and build an atom using PhET simulation, and this is where we are going to pick it up today. So now we are going to see a little note just before we use the PhET simulation. Now, an element is made up of atoms. We've been able to establish that. Now, there are over 100 known elements occurring in nature, and every element has its own atoms, its atoms. Every element has its atoms. We've seen examples of gold and silver. Both are elements and they have their atoms. Gold is an element that has its own atoms, gold atoms. Silver also is an element that has silver atoms. Alright, so another thing to take note of is that there are three elementary particles of an atom. There are three particles, right, that make up an atom. There are protons, electrons, and neutrons. Protons, electrons, and neutrons. These are three elementary particles, right, that make up an atom. Now let's see all of these. Now protons carry positive charges and are found within the core of an atom. So if you look at the image below, you'll see that that is the structure of an atom. You see just in the middle at the core is the nucleus of an atom. So inside the nucleus of an atom, there are two elementary particles that are found there. You see that the protons carry positive charges. You can see protons are red colored, right? They carry positive charges. Now, neutrons carry no charge. Neutrons carry no charge and are also found within the core of an atom. So if you look closely, you'll see the balls in yellow, right? The balls in yellow, right, represent neutrons. They are neutrons. You can see that they carry zero charge. They carry no charge at all. There is nothing on them. Then electrons carry negative charges and are found outside the core of an atom. So if you also look, you see the blue balls, right, and you'll see that they carry negative charges. Electrons are negatively charged, neutrons carry no charge, while protons are positively charged. So protons, neutrons, and electrons are elementary particles, right, that make up an atom. They are elementary particles of an atom. And don't forget, an atom also make up an element. An atom or atoms make up, an element. They make up element. Now, every element has this atomic structure. The structure we just saw and we're seeing now, right? All elements, right, have this atomic structure. Now, don't forget I mentioned that all elements have their atoms, right? Each element has its own atom, And all these atoms, each atom, all right, or the atoms in an element, right, they have that atomic structure. So every element has this atomic structure, right? So elements are arranged in the order of the number of protons in its atoms. I'm going to say that elements are arranged, and you also have to know it this way. Elements are arranged in the order of the number of protons in its atoms. Again, let me ask you, where do we find protons, right, as as an elementary particle of an atom? Where do we find it? Okay, we find it inside the core. It is inside the core. That's the nucleus of the atom. It is found within the nucleus of the atom. So elements are arranged, right, in the order of the number of protons present in its atom. So look at here, we have the first 20 elements, and their symbols below. So you see there's hydrogen number 1, there's helium number 2, there's lithium number 3. So now in the order in which they are arranged, right, is the number of protons that is present in each atom. For example, in hydrogen as an element, right, in the atom of hydrogen there is only one proton. In the atom of helium, or in helium atom, there are 2 protons. In lithium atom, right, there are 3 protons. Like that, you continue. So if let's take for example sulfur, right? In sulfur atom, sulfur is an element, but in its atom, in sulfur atom, there are 16 protons. There are 16 protons, up to 20. That's calcium. Calcium atom has 20 protons, right? It has 20 protons. So all of these elements are arranged in the order of the number of protons present in the nucleus of their atoms. All right, I want to believe that is clear. So beside each element, right, is its symbol. So hydrogen is H, helium is He, lithium is Li, beryllium is Be, boron is B. Then you continue like that. Now there's a song that can help you learn better. There's a song that can help you learn better the first 20 elements, and I'm just going to sing it. It goes this way: hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. These are first 20 elements. Let's take that again: hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. These are first 20 elements. All right, so you can learn that song over and over again, all right, to help you learn better the first 20 elements. So after that, the next thing to do is to build an atom. How do we build an atom? So if you look at the simulation carefully, you'll see there are protons, neutrons, and electrons. These are the elementary particles of an atom. So what we are going to do is to build the atom. So again, remind yourself, all right, that protons and neutrons are found where? In the core, in the nucleus of an atom, while electrons are found where? Outside the nucleus of an atom. So I'm just going to show you how to go about that. This is PhET simulation, and we're going to see how to build. We're going to learn how to build. I'll teach you how to build an atom. So if you look closely at the screen, all right, you see the, protons, neutrons, and electrons. These are the elementary particles, that have been discussed earlier. Right, we've discussed this earlier. So how then do we go about building an atom? So what we need to do is that now, don't forget, we'll need to add number of protons, neutrons, and electrons, right, to the structure just above them, right, to that structure. That's the atomic structure. So let's see how each elementary particle will be positioned. So let's move. You can see, so proton, right? Proton is the orange ball, right? So you can see that moving proton, it moves, it is positioned in the middle. It is positioned as at the nucleus, or in the nucleus of the atom. And you also see that because it is one proton, right? Proton number is 1, right? It states that that is hydrogen. The element is stated, right? Hydrogen. Let's try 2 protons. Let's try 2 protons. All right, so you see that with 2 protons, right, proton number 2, the name of the element has changed to helium, right? That states that the element with 2 protons, right, is helium. The element with 2 protons is helium. Let's add one more to check. All right, so you see that with 3 protons, right, that's lithium. That's lithium. So lithium as an element has 3 protons. Has 3 protons. Let's add one more. All right. So next is beryllium. So beryllium is an element with 4 protons. With 4 protons. Okay. With 4 protons. You see that all of these elementary particles as the protons, they are positioned, or they position themselves, right, in the nucleus of the atom. In the nucleus of the atom. Let's try for neutrons. Neutrons carry the gray color. So let's check neutrons. All right, so you see that neutron, I've thrown one neutron, and it is positioned in the nucleus, of the atom. Let's try one more. Okay, that's 2. Now there's something to take note of. Now you see that although the number of protons, right, number of protons is 4, right, it states the number of element, that's beryllium. But you see that with neutron as 2, number 2 neutrons, then the element states the same, beryllium. So that suggests to us, right, that the number of protons is what determines the element. All right. The number of protons is what determines the element name, right? If you see, let's increase the number of neutrons. All right, so now we have 3 neutrons, but the name of the element still is the same, right? Beryllium, still states beryllium, right? So this confirms to us that what determines an element, right? What determines an element, the name of an element, right, is the number of protons. And don't forget, I mentioned earlier that protons determine the number of protons. The elements are arranged in the number of protons present in the nucleus of the atom. So let's add one more neutron. So we have equal number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. Now let's try electrons. Let's see where they will be positioned, right? So you can see that electrons are positioned right outside the nucleus of an atom. Let me add some more. You can see, right, the electron finds its position outside the nucleus of an atom, right? Let's try 2 more. You can see that, right, they position themselves outside the nucleus of an atom. So that also confirms what we have learned before, right, that protons and neutrons are located within the nucleus of an atom, while electrons are located outside the nucleus of an atom. And you can see that this is a neutral atom. So from what we have done, we've been able to build a beryllium atom. So a beryllium atom has 4 protons, right, 4 neutrons, and 4 electrons. So a beryllium atom has equal number of protons, neutrons, and electrons. I hope this has helped you, right, so you can go ahead and practice some more. Thank you.